So the Minister of Finance, Enock Gondongwana, has said he does not know anything about the announcement by the Reserve Bank that they're going to be moving down the inflation target to 3%. So he doesn't know it. He doesn't know why they're saying that, because they've not talked to him and they've not agreed with him. He has also said that the consultation process has not happened. So Treasury doesn't know about, sorry, Treasury knows, obviously, but they don't agree with it. And Cabinet doesn't know, the people of South Africa doesn't know, business has not been consulted. So he's not going to formalize that 3% inflation target. So that is, he said that himself, that this thing still has to go through a consultation process. So let me tell you why I don't like inflation targeting in South Africa. Inflation targeting in South Africa is fake because the banks have got their own interest rate for the people, for the ordinary people, or for retail. So normally interest rates are supposed to be playing around 10 to 12%, somewhere there, for retail. However, currently, there is no bank that has got interest rates like that. Credit cards are at 20-something percent, loans are at 30%, 40% for retail. And the banks, therefore, have got their own economy and their own interest rates. And then ordinary people, when they give their money to the bank, it's at 3%, 1%. So they're taking cheap money at 1% and borrowing it back at 40%, 50%. So what is your inflation now? Because inflation is closely linked to interest rates. So there must be a link. However, at the moment, these low rates or low inflation is on paper. You want an economy like South Africa to have a high inflation because you want growth. And many people don't understand why I want high inflation. I want high inflation because I want more products. I want people buying. I want economic activity. Low interest rate environment encourages banks to just take money at low cost and give it away at high interest. So if you have high inflation, that means you've got more money in the economy running around and you've got more activity. The people have money and there is growth. So the reason why there's no growth in South Africa is because there's no money. The banks just take the money and they put it inside their vaults and they wait for you to come and borrow money that they took at 3% and they give it to you at 20%, at 30%. So their banks are criminals. The banks are criminals. That is why the economy in South Africa is not doing well. So let me give you an illustration. I've got two products, right? So that is my two products here. I've got my wipes, I've got my Vaseline. So I say these products must never go up in price. I've got two products, right? So these two products will stay at the same price, but that's all the two products that we have. So we can't sell a lot of those. So we've sold those two products, and that's a low inflation environment. A high inflation environment is good for South Africa, not very high, but 20% somewhere there for South Africa is good. Why? Because now, instead of having just the Vaseline and the wipe, you now have the Vaseline, the wipe, the tea, the honey, everything together. And these things move around. It costs more. There's a transport cost, there are cost of manufacturing, people get jobs, and that environment of 20% as a target is actually better. That's where we are anyway. The banks are giving money at 20%. I challenge the Reserve Bank of South Africa to go and say, all banks, give me your statement. How much are you borrowing money to people at? In your books right now, how much have you borrowed people money at? You will see that the majority of loans are sitting around 15 to 20%, going all the way to 30%. You have people borrowing money in banks, giving money, especially the financial institutions, they are not ones that are not banks, giving money up to 40%. So this thing of 3% to me makes no sense. I don't like it. And I probably am the most outspoken person about inflation targeting. Is a joke in South Africa, where currently companies are closing. Like the amount of company closures in South Africa is shocking. You walk at a mall, there are empty shops everywhere. People are not buying, shops are empty. Young people who are coming from facilities are not working. You don't need this 3% thing. They're trying to impress who? With a low inflation. So that is different from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has got high inflation and they don't have an interest rate at all. They don't have a currency. South Africa has a currency. So you have to manage. Eventually, what they have to do is to push down the lending rates, the ones that the banks are giving to the people, because banks are lazy. Banks are lazy. They're taking money now for free at low interest rate and borrow it out at high interest rate. So that is where everything dies. The economy of South Africa is dead. And when I say it's dead, this is not a joke. It's a dead economy. It's not working. Like when I first came to South Africa, this economy was kicking. You would go into a shop and you stand there for hours, people buying. Now we just walk to any shop and you're the one person there. It's crazy.